Adam Wharton, Crystal Palace, England now international, capped, left-footed, midfielder. Not important to say, Bart, to set the scene. Not a natural six by any means. We're not pretending that, but has played in a double pivot. I know Palace don't play that naturally, and Will Hughes has been there, but there has been a bit of variety under Glasner. That's important to say. Few injuries. Let's do the normal routine for Adam Wharton and make a call.
Yeah, so English, young, all those things tick the box. And I will try and put aside the fact that I do like that. Minutes played. He's had a bad season this time, so minutes played because he's been injured, right? He's only got 800 minutes and we're in the tail end of the season. He's not going to, he's going to lucky to clock in anywhere near 1,500. So that's going to be a low amount. And he hasn't really hit an amount. He hasn't done over 2,000 minutes yet. And he's in his 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons. So, that would be a concern's a bit stretched, but you'd have to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
I don't think you could expect him to come in and play the level of games that Grab's fallen over that. He can't. He's barely able to do what he was doing at the beginning of the season. Tactically, and also he's just knackered, right? Wharton would have died at Christmas if we'd asked him to do that, right? So that you just got to take that caveat with it. What does he do in terms of goals and assists? So from the position he's in, 0.3 is about average for him. All right, so it's not brilliant, it's not bad. Remember, he's playing at base midfield, and again, Palace don't have a lot of the ball. Right, they don't have a lot of opportunities to do really fancy attacking stuff. The style of play has changed, but yeah, you really want to look at stuff like when he was at Blackburn, which is a bit more attacking, but he had 0.7, which is a better return on where he was. In terms of assists, when he was at Blackburn, he was at goals and assists of 0.23 per 90. So that's good. There's some really good numbers when he was at Blackburn. So it shows you that when he plays in a more attacking side, he potentially could give you that output. Yeah. Just with Palace, he's not really asked to do that. Not knocking him, Palace fans listening. I'm just saying it's a different style of play.
The truth,
But the truth, if you look at his percentile, so the bottom box here is kind of what we want to look for, right? So aerials is not great. 31st percentile, which just to put that out where we are with Australia stats. Down the bottom, here we go.
It's a big lad as well.
33. He's a big lad. 33, 36, 40. So that, let's be kind, 40% dual rate. We normally require our 6 to be a lot higher than that. We normally require it to be like a level with our worst centre half, right? Yeah. The grab is in and around that at the moment. So that's an area of concern. It's not as important as a centre half, but it's still important because he's normally the shield in front. So when the centre half wins the ball, it'll fall into this pocket here. Yeah. And the 6 or the double pivot are charged with either pressing to win it or clearing it again. All right. So that's why it's important to do that. And on set plays, he again would form the second row. So you need to be able to have that aerial ability in there. Clearances, opportunity knocks, Palace defend a lot more. So 74% percentile for clearances. Blocks, not so great, okay. But interceptions and tackles, so he's good at reading the play and nipping it. But there's also an element where if the 6 has to go to ground, he might be covering up someone else's mistake or his own mistake, right? So there's a bit, okay? Between the boxes, I think it's fair to say he's a passer. So progressive passes, but his pass completion, considering we all after mid-80s is our bog standard, or 82%, 77% part is fairly low from midfield to 50% up. So that would need to improve under us. Attempted passes 50%, 50 percentile. So a game per 90, less than 50 passes attempted for a midfielder. That's incredibly low for us. But again, this doesn't take into account the amount of ball that Palace have. Yeah, so we generally make 600 passes a game, right? So you would expect him to have a lot more opportunity to do that potentially. But he's not going to take a player on, which is what Grab does. Sorry, he's not going to carry a ball. Grab does that. He doesn't. And he's not going to touch the ball in the attacking variables, which Grab doesn't either. So there are some things that we could be like, okay, they could be better, but you could also explain a little bit due to Palace's style of play. What does he do when he does get up there, though? Doesn't score many goals. He's a 6. Assists, though, 80%. Okay, so what he does offer something, 80%. So that's 0.16. That's not bad. That's in line with the previous centre half and Frimpong, to be fair. Non-penalty goals and assists in 72 percentile for a centre half. So there's some things in there. Less than one shot a game. What you'd expect. Okay, so if you compare him, as I said, this is him compared with Grab. Okay, so the first thing you should better see from that is they are like two halves of a same player. Grab is clearly a carrier. We've seen that his signature move, which he hasn't been able to do for the last 10 games because Oppers have worked him out. When he turns, carries the ball, takes a player on, and has a touch. Those are all, and he receives a progressive pass from Van Dijk doing it. They're all high for Grab. They're not Wharton's strength. Wharton is good at the actual raw stuff of creating assists, though. He's also better at tackling interceptions, clearances, opportunity might knocks. Blocks Grab's better. Grab's considerably better at aerials. Okay. And is considerably better at dealing with dribblers who come at him, if you like. So there are some things, and also Grab's pass completion is high. So, yeah, they could work together, perhaps, maybe.
Yeah.
Grab carrying it, Wharton passing it, maybe. Maybe the other thing I would say is that it might be that some of these are low because I know he's having a great season because he's been injured. So this could be that. Yeah, you're talking about this is over the last 365 days. Won't take into account the fact that he hasn't played much. It's just 365 days. So yeah, that's something to consider. If you look at the stuff that I run on him, so he is operating at the base. Palace, very, very different setup. All right.
Yeah.
If I showed you that for a Liverpool game, you would tell me that that's the worst performance you've ever seen in your life, right? But the triangle is with the goalkeeper and two of the centre halves and fullback. That it's not anywhere else. So the midfield are not generally tasked with doing a lot of that of the build. When it's a little bit further on, you see they're bunched together, the midfielders, and there are some triangle building. So, and he's on the ball for those. So there are some positives, but I would say the opportunity is maybe not there for Palace for him to demonstrate some of those abilities. That's why we've referenced his time at Blackburn. If you look at, he's on the ball every other minute, apparently only fleetingly. He's not there taking control. And if you've got a midfielder who's having, up to 5 touches or passes every other minute, that's him really seizing the game. He's not doing that. He's in the low passing chain, so that's effectively gets it, gives it further up. Not really involved in recycling that play, but then Palace might not be involved in that. Pleasing thing, he does provide passes into the left half space, right half space in zone 14. So that's good, and that's also what we're saying on F-Brick as well. So that's a good thing to show. Threat. What did he do off the ball? So he stopped 48% of the threat coming at him. Again, that was shown in his success rate with Gravenberch was low. So something to be wary of. From his area, though, he gave Palace build through the wide from the fullback, from the goalkeeper, right? So not these areas here, it's low amount of EPB produced. So he's not really in the side to do that. Right or wrongly, however you want to view that. Defensively, so these are his boxes here. So that is around 8-3-4-4. So he's got a fair amount of defensive action he's dealing with there. So off the ball, he does the work forward side. But again, they normally focus that's 12% wide, so they push out wide to defend Palace on a whole. XG, you are sharp because it wasn't involved in any. If you look at just his player profile, so this gives you an indication of what Palace asked him to do. He's only on the ball 10% of their time. That's really low.
Yeah.
Right. We asked our midfielders to be on, 15, nearly 20% of the time, and our forwards are on a lower amount of time. So that shows you where they want the ball to be. Having said that, because he's done progressive passes, in this game, he created nearly 40% of their threat.
Wow.
So limited ball time, brilliant output. Dual rate at 33% of the game wouldn't be acceptable for Liverpool going forward. And he's bang on the average for the metrics as well. So there are some things to like. I think. I think he could be good in a double pivot. I think you said at the beginning he's not really a 6 on his own. I think there are indications he has a career of being able to play that role really well. I'd be creative beyond the ball. I just think because of his lack of minutes this season, being injured, not being in rhythm, and he's been in and out of the side with Will Hughes has played a lot of games, I seem to remember as well. So he has only got 10 starts in the Premier League this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not a great portfolio for this year. If you look back through the seasons, he's been an ever-present for Blackburn in a successful season. He's had good seasons with Palace before. So I think you'd be looking at that as an overall picture. And I could certainly see merit in him playing next to Grav in a double pivot. I could see merit in that.
It's a funny one, isn't it, with Wharton? Because you're right. When you look at certain things, you've got question marks against the aerial. There's almost like a pro and con in each section. So you're thinking aerial 31%, blocks 37, but then you're like tackles 92, clearances 74th percentile. So you're like, that's striking. You're thinking, like you say, the pass completion 77.7. You kind of that stands out. But then you also look and think progressive passes 7.91, 94th percentile a game. And he played a beautiful assist the other day in the Premier League. It really was good. And then, as you said, there's other things like just even his attacking metrics are things, and the shot creating action. So he is a progressive player. He's just not a traveller. I suppose you mentioned Grav there as well. If someone like, and I'm thinking that Mac, I know isn't a sort of passer, he's an all-round player, but even someone like Curtis in a double pivot who can pay there as well, because Curtis carries the ball so much and moves around. Could he dovetail, because he's left-footed as well? Even that, could that be a good dovetail?
Yeah, definitely. I think Curtis is almost he suffers because I think he can play all three roles. To larger or less degree. So yeah, Curtis playing the mould in which Klopp and Pep tried to get him to do, which was Big G effectively, could work really well with someone like Wharton, Adam. Could be really good. The physicality side of it would be interesting in those games. You'd have to pick them really well. The advantage of having someone like Adams come in and play as a pivot, it could move Mac further forward.
Yeah,
which would unlock other areas of the pitch. Because, again, if you haven't got your main threat creator playing next year, you are going to need to find a way of creating threat.
Yeah, got to.
And one of those is you put a better midfielder further on the pitch. But if you're not playing Dom there, then you've also got to create a work rate for the rest of the side. So there's pros and cons with that, but they're going to have to find a way of tweaking that system to create more threat elsewhere. One of those could be you bring in someone like Wharton to play double pivot, and they give you threat from deep, as we've seen. He created 40% of their threat in that game. The Palace, like possession, that's really good. And that'll also enable you to play one of your other midfielders who've got that further up pitch. So it could be an interesting option. I can't remember what you said the price, but I imagine the price is not exactly cheap because it would Premier League tax all over it.
Yeah. PJ Thapper said a couple of things there. It'd probably cost over 80 million plus English tax. It'd be interesting because I would have said that easily last season, but maybe the injuries just shave a few million off it. Although Palace are expected to sell Gay, so that it shouldn't be short of funds at all. It wouldn't be an easy deal. And he also mentions an interesting one. Lamine Kamara, that was a player we looked at in previous pods as well. And we also looked at Baleba, better defensive options to play alongside Grav or instead of him. And they do offer different things. I mean, we looked at those two profiles. I suppose Kamara had the concern around physicality and that he's a small guy coming from the league, but we appreciate he could play in all three roles, which made him quite an intriguing proposition. Baleba, everyone's seen him for Brighton, very strong physically. You can easily see him in a Liverpool shirt. I understand that. It was actually his passing stats, I think, more than anything that would maybe be the question mark. Although, as we say, as we keep mentioning, we've got a lot of good passers, a lot of people that are good on the ball in midfield. So maybe a physicality is one to think there. I mean, it's probably an interesting one. You've done all three now. Kamara, Baleba, and you put Adam Wharton. I know you've always had a soft spot for Adam Wharton. I have, from what I've seen. And there's certain stats still really striking. But the cons are quite striking at the same time as well.
Yeah.
Who would you be leaning towards out those three from what you've profiled now?
I think I have to park my personal. I think if I'm looking at the stats right here, right now, my view has changed from last season. The guy, we did the show last summer break, and I was like, we've got to sign Adam. We've got to get him in. We just got to buy him. And we did. Now, I would probably favour the lad of Brighton. The problem is that it's going to cost you a lot of money. I mean, like, Bloom doesn't need any money. They don't need any money. So it's going to cost you a bit. Yes, he is a brilliant player. He would probably add a lot of things for us.
Yeah, a lot.
But is that really what I don't? Really not sure about it because that'd be 80 million plus, more than that. Whereas I think you're right. I think Adam's poor-ish season for Palace would bring the fee down a bit. So that'd be a tricky one. But I would probably be having recent games. So the three games where we haven't done well this year is where teams gone man for man against us. Yeah, Everton, Newcastle. We got done man for man. So you would need a player like Baleba to come in and help that out. But then do you need him for the other 38% of the games? So you need to make sure that he's then also do what Graven's been doing, which is the problem. But I'm not sure he can because his passing is good. So that'd be my concerns with Baleba, although I could actually see a positive for signing him, as we said before. So I think if you've got the money for both, that'd be a good choice to make between the two of them. I think both of them would improve our options in midfield. I think that is without a shadow of doubt. Which one they go for, again, could go down to who stays.
Yeah, true.
Who goes.
That's the tough bit as well, because there's only about 68 million things to do across the team, it seems, this summer. Forwards are going to have to come in, a left back and different bits. And we have to be honest on this. Are Liverpool going to spend big money on a midfield when actually you can argue that is the area that will probably require the least reinforcing this summer? But as you said, might come down to Endo, Harvey Elliott. You just get the feeling Harvey Elliott could be a big say in whether another midfielder comes in that regard of serious note, shall we say. But only time will tell on that one, eh? But there we go, ladies and gents. Two Bundesliga players. One rapid, one great attacking. The only problem is a right wing back that can't defend has got a big question mark against him. One centre half, left footed, got a ping and a half on him, quick for a centre half, real pedigree and minutes. If he's replacing Joe Gomez, you're excited. If he's replacing Virgil van Dijk, you are terrified. And then finally, Adam Wharton. A lot to like. The pros are really standing out. There's a lot of green, as we've said there, some really progressive natures, but some question marks against aerial and other things. And for that price tag, it's hard to see Liverpool wetting their beak in it. And people mention others like we've previewed, Baleba, Lamine Kamara. Yeah, you wouldn't stick confidence on that. But there you are, ladies and gents. 3 we've profiled for you. 3 we've given you the stats on. 3 we've given real analysis for you. So as ever, all it leaves me to say is, Bart, for the time, the insight, for the stats, and for answering all questions, it is much appreciated, pal.
No worries, anytime.
And ladies and gents, that was another Transfer Market Metrics for Anfield Index.